Hello and welcome to our final lecture on the California Gold Rush, Section 7. We're going to be talking about the lasting effects of the gold rush and kind of how this event really transformed our state and how these events are still even influencing us today. Here we have our notes. Please go ahead and write these down. Pause the video. Fill in the blanks to where you think, to what you think should go in there. And if you have any questions, inquiries, etc., please write those down. We'll talk about it in our discussion groups when we meet next time. And here we go. So the first thing we're going to talk about is our state's transformation. Transformation, that means a big change that the state made. California in general completely changed because of the gold rush. If this one event didn't happen, I firmly believe our state would not be what it is today because of the way these events unfolded. I mean, if people slowly trickled in and kind of slowly came here, I just don't think California would have the allure it still has today. I mean, this gold rush really set the precedent for California's history. But here's some of the things that I put 4 pictures here. The first one on the top left is our seal, our state seal, and a state seal is the marking that we put on official government papers to kind of let you know, hey, this is an official paper, and the government approves it or is backing what is on this paper. And if you look on the state seal, the first thing you see is the word Eureka. Eureka was kind of the phrase you'd say whenever you struck gold. You say, Eureka, I found gold. So that was something we felt that was important in the creation of our state seal. And also, the state seal was created during the time of the gold rush. So a lot of this stuff was kind of fresh in the air. We also have the ships in the background. See those same clipper ships from the gold rush. But also wanted to show that we do have a navy and we have a strong shipping and coastal merchant power. So that was another reason why they wanted to include it. You'll also see in the background the Sierra Nevada mountains. Again, another facet of the gold rush. Why? Because that's where the gold was at. Are there the Sierra Nevada mountains in the background of the Golden Gate? No. If you look outside the Golden Gate, there are not the mountains. The mountains are on the other side. So that was a very important asset that they added to the state seal. If you look kind of towards the bottom, you'll see a small man holding a pickaxe in that kind of wooden box. Yep, gold miner. Again, another very, very iconic symbol for our state. So this one event that happened in history will forever be shown and represented in our state seal and all government documents. So that was something that was important for our state. The next picture you see is a building, and it's the Sacramento Capitol building. Sacramento today is a very, well, not very, but it's a small city. It's definitely not California's largest city. I mean, California's largest city is Los Angeles. It's the second largest city in the United States. But Los Angeles is not the capital of the state. Why? Why isn't Los Angeles the capital of the state? Well, because during the gold rush, when the state was being formed, Sacramento was the kind of big city closest to the gold rush, and that's where it was happening. So everyone thought, well, hey, all this gold is coming out of, the foothills right by Sacramento. So this is a great place to make it our state capital because I can tell from all the success it's having right now, this is going to be where it's happening from here on out. But realistically, after the gold rush settled down and the gold prospectors kind of went away, San Francisco actually turned out to be the city that was, more important. But even that city wasn't made into the capital. But yeah, Sacramento's really not, kind of an afterthought, really. But still, it's our state capital, and the gold rush definitely had a big influence on that. Speaking of San Francisco, that's the city on the bottom left. we talked about in the fourth lecture, I believe, or fifth lecture, about how our city of San Francisco radically changed from this little, you know, fishing pueblo called Yerba Buena to this mega city that looked like Boston in, a very, very short period of time. And now it's one of the most visited places in America, if not the, I think it either is the most or the second most visited place in America. So it's a very important city in our country, and the gold rush pretty much made that town. If you've heard that phrase before, um, thanks to the gold rush, and then the transformation of the state happened because of this little flyer down here at the bottom. It says, California, come to California, jump on the ship, get over here, mine some gold, become rich. And this is a famous kind of advertisement or commercial about coming to California. So I think these four things really, these four elements really kind of show how this one event really helped transform our state from a fishing village to what it is today. Another big thing about the gold rush, what it did was it dramatically spiked the population of the state. It went from, maybe 1,000 people in the state to, a major city, a major importance, globally known place. And now California is the most populated state in the United States. And it's also the most diverse. And diverse means people from all around. So there's lots of different people living here in California. Some of the largest are the Mexican, if you can see in this pie graph, but also the Chinese. There's tons and tons of Chinese. But if you go to places like, I don't know, Iowa or Florida or Michigan, for example, these other states, you're not going to find the same kind of demographics. You're not going to find a lot of Mexicans or a lot of Chinese. It's much less diverse. California is special in that way. There's just so many people from so many different parts of the world, and it all started with this gold rush, and everyone just kind of showing up. But what did California mean? What did this gold rush mean for people? California meant coming to a place where you could start over, or where you could come to make all your dreams come true. And this kind of promotion of, excitement, adventure, fulfilling your dream, the success stories of Sam Brannan and other gold miners really kind of stuck in the American and the world's mind of what California was. It wasn't just another state. It wasn't just another place along the coast. I mean, Washington State and Oregon State, those two states are also on the Pacific Ocean, but California is special in the sense that it is this kind of place of wonder, of dreams, of a place where you can come to make it happen, to make it big, to be the next best thing, to be on the cutting edge of society. From the gold rush came, the excitement, and all these people came here and these different ideas, and it led to things like the creation of Hollywood and the movies and Silicon Valley, which is south, right where the gold rush happened, and where all these big companies like Facebook and Apple and LinkedIn and all these other, Google, these human changing type businesses and models that are all happening here. And it all, started, I believe, from this gold rush period. It's people came here with just, a buck in their pocket and a dream, and a lot of people failed, but a lot of people made it, and I think there's something special about that, because there's not very many places in the world that are like that, where you can say, you know what, I'm going to go to this place because I have a chance, and it doesn't matter where I'm from or what I look like or what I'm doing. As long as I work hard or I'm smart or I got this great idea, I feel I can make it happen. I'm a talented person. I've got dreams, and California symbolizes these dreams. And it was true then, and it's still true today. Another big thing about the gold rush was the inventions that came out of the gold rush. So there were certain things that happened during this event that led to things that are still in place today. In the top left, you see this carriage. It says Wells Fargo. Maybe your dad works at Wells Fargo. It's a bank. Maybe you just have an account there. Maybe your mom and dad have an account there. I used to have an account there when I was in high school, actually. But Wells Fargo is a very successful American bank, and it was a company that started with, all these people had gold and they wanted to keep it in a safe place, so they created this bank, and Wells Fargo was that bank, and it's still here today. It's still a very successful Fortune 500 company. So that happened, and that's around because of that event that happened during the gold rush. But if you really want to see a product that came about because of the gold rush that's widely used today, look no further than down at your legs. You're probably wearing a product of the gold rush. So there was one particular miner, Mr. Strauss, who was unsuccessful, and he noticed that people needed to have some sort of pants that were durable, but at the same time comfortable. And so he used material from sails of a ship, of all things, to kind of create this denim or these jeans, these blue jeans. And he created Levi's blue jeans, and Levi's were the first jeans. And I mean, if you go anywhere in the world, the majority of people that cover their legs, they're wearing jeans. Doesn't matter what continent you're on, you're gonna find people wearing jeans. Jeans are just a great product. I mean, they're inexpensive, they last a long time, they're durable, they're comfortable. Some of them are very fashionable. So this event created the clothes that we're wearing today. Now, again, these Levi's were not worn by miners during the gold rush period of 1848 to 1855 because they weren't created then, but they are affiliated with the gold rush because miners ultimately ended up using them, and because an original 49er or prospector was trying to make it work. He couldn't do it in gold mining, so he made it. He was innovative and created these pants, these jeans, these denims that we all wear today. So that came out of the gold rush. So be sure to know those two distinctions between when the jeans came around. But there's lots of different jean companies now. Levi is not the only one. They're just the original. Another cool kind of thing that came out of it was this Italian miner, another unsuccessful guy. He wasn't a great miner, and he was, here during the time, and he actually, of all things, started making chocolate. And Ghirardelli chocolate became very successful. And if you go to San Francisco and you're by the wharf, you're going to see Ghirardelli Square, and you'll see his, his factory, his old factory. It's a product that's you can buy pretty much anywhere else in the world, or at least at major airports, and it's delicious. And he actually created a different process of making chocolate, which kind of made it stand out. Can't think of the exact name of it, but it's a common process that's now used when making chocolate. And the final thing I wanted to say, there was also lots of minor inventions that kind of happened. This one right here is one of these these water well things, the hydroelectric power turbine or whatever. Basically, the old ones kind of had these kind of cup shaped, and I forget the name of the inventor, but he invented one that was this W-shaped one, and it increased the efficiency of it, so it really helped with water power. If you remember a few lectures back when we were talking about, actually the second lecture, about how Sutter was building his sawmill, and he was having trouble with trying to get his river to produce the power. If he had one of these, maybe it would have been better. So this was actually used for a long time. This invention was used for like maybe 100 years or something until they found a replacement for it. But either way, lots of stuff happened during this time. There were also lots of smaller inventions, etc. But these are kind of like some of the bigger ones that stood out. And ultimately, it was a time where if you weren't mining, you were inventing ways of making money. Uh, whether that be from washing clothes or selling picks and pans or being like Sam Brannan and making your own newspaper and promoting your own store so you could sell your stuff. So it was pretty ingenious the way he did that. So either way, it was a time of freedom, of wild invention, and yeah, that was kind of what was going on. Again, we come back to the Native Americans. In the last lecture, we talked about some of the poor things that happened to the Native Americans, how they were basically exterminated or run off their lands. The Native Americans were the people of this land, and because of the gold rush, they no longer became the people of this land. They fought the miners. They tried to protect themselves. They tried to keep their lands, but ultimately they couldn't. They were, massacred. They were ambushed. They were killed, and they were almost extinct. Their numbers dwindled, or they were radically reduced because of all these people. Now, a large part of it had to do with disease. So the first Europeans who started coming, if you look at this graph here in 1770, you see the top, there was about 300,000 of them. But remember, that's Juan Bautista came in 1776, and he brought with him the diseases such as like smallpox and stuff like that, and they didn't have immunities for it, so a lot of them died from just from the sicknesses and not being able to fight those diseases. And then when they became, converted at the missions, again they were, they were exposed even further to these diseases. So they got down to a certain number to where, okay, they're kind of over it. They have some immunities naturally from it. A few generations have passed since then, and that's when we get to 1855, and there was a certain number of Native Americans, and then you can see by 1910, it got down to about 16,000 of them left, and sadly they were almost completely ran out. But fortunately the numbers increased, and they're still here today. But very sad what happened to the Native American people. Sorry I had to end on a sad note, but that's the end of our lectures. Hopefully you've enjoyed learning about the gold rush. I've enjoyed talking about it. Be sure to finish up on all your projects, because we will be sharing all of our projects next week in class. So I really look forward to seeing all the projects and grading all your work. And I hope you've got all the questions you need. If you have any other things that came from this time period, other inventions or other things maybe I left out, please bring them to the discussion when we meet. Also, if you didn't get one of the lecture notes, again, just as always, write it down. We'll talk about it. Thanks again for spending your time with me, and have a great day.